2 sculptors have tried their hand at this block before you. It's totally beaten up. It's useless.
Welcome to MsMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the most notable artists that work within the European Renaissance period, roughly between 1350 and 1620 CE.
He didn't want to paint a lot, he wanted to paint a perfect painting.
Number 10. Titian.
He's doing something new in painting that is so radical that you can't really think about painting the same way afterwards.
The Renaissance period includes works from many different forms of art, including painting. Titian was among the very best painters of his day, an Italian artist who eventually became known for his vibrantly alive, gorgeous sense of color.
He was very lucky because Venice was the center of the pigment trade, and he could choose the very best materials, the most rich and colorful ones.
Religious themes were commonplace for many of Titian's contemporaries, yet his Assumption of the Virgin still stands out today thanks to the energy afforded by his color choices and composition. Titian's human and divine figures practically leapt from the man's canvas, and his work is rightfully lauded today as something truly special.
Gestural brushwork, his approach to layering of color, and his use of that to tell stories with not just narrative precision, but emotional and psychological precision.
Number 9. Albrecht Dürer.
He was an extraordinary artist.
The first big name that one should get excited about.
He stands alone, really.
Italy wasn't the only place where enlightened artists created future masterpieces for the world to love and enjoy. Albrecht Dürer was of German origin, yet spoke frequently with Renaissance masters such as Leonardo da Vinci and Raphael. As a result, Dürer brought with him influences from these artists and adapted them to his own artistic endeavors. Though a gifted painter, Dürer's greatest legacy is as a printmaker.
The idea of publishing and distributing art is a very new thing. Dürer started this whole idea.
His genius is exemplified in his engraving Melancholia I. This piece captures brilliantly the human condition of contemplation and melancholy within an unearthly winged female humanoid, and serves as a prime example of Albrecht Dürer's conceptual eye.
With its plethora of symbols, Melancholia I is sometimes called Dürer's Summa, because it brings together so many of his interests and ideas.
Number 8. Sandro Botticelli. This artist from Florence, Italy painted both mythological and religious figures over the course of his career and captured both in a powerful and influential manner.
He uses luminous colour, but what is also really important about a work such as this is that we are immediately drawn to the emotion in the work.
Sandro Botticelli was one of multiple artists who was invited to work on the Sistine Chapel in Vatican City, and his resulting works, Youth of Moses and Punishment of the Sons of Korah, are wondrous to behold. However, it was Botticelli's knack for form and composition that helped make his aforementioned work with mythology among his best-known and most enduring.
He is letting the viewer know stylistically that what they are looking at is a product of imagination. What we are seeing here is movement and energy not seen before.
Pieces like The Birth of Venus are recognizable even to neophytes of the Renaissance period, while Primavera captures beautifully the artist's connection to humanity.
She tilts her head to one side and holds up her drapery and motions with her hand and looks directly at us. And in a way, it's impossible not to want to join her in the garden.
Number 7. Jan van Eyck, or Jan van Eyck.
Consumerism was rampant, and the ultimate way to show off your wealth was to commission a portrait. And by the 1430s, a portrait by Jan van Eyck was the most exclusive status symbol.
The surviving works of Jan van Eyck showcase how this artist, who was born in what's now modern-day Belgium, adapted his international Gothic influences with the emerging Renaissance to create some absolutely stunning pieces.
In an era of flat, disproportionate pictures, he appeared with this seemingly supernatural realism and became one of the most celebrated painters in art history.
The facial expressions and colors are singularly present within his work. The Arnolfini portrait highlights van Eyck's talents particularly well, as does his Ghent altarpiece. This latter work might be van Eyck's masterpiece, an insanely complex and gorgeous polyptych that codified van Eyck's oil painting technique, while also taking art approaches from the Middle Ages and modernizing them for the Renaissance.
Was described by one 15th century viewer as embodying the very art of painting, and today it's regarded as the foundation of painterly realism in the West.
Number 6. Donatello.
Single figures, crucified Christs, saints, just amazing artist. And in his honor, I've invited a friend of mine.
We don't mean to sound flippant, but it was the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that probably served as the first entry point for many to explore Renaissance art. And there's nothing wrong with that, especially if consuming TMNT media leads anyone to discover the works of Donatello.
Tell me who you are again, dude, because I don't got him a lot of clue what you do.
Born Donato di Niccolo di Beto Bardi, this Florence-born artist was a sculptor by trade and possessed a unique creative eye when it came to capturing the human form. His bronze sculpture of the biblical David in particular eschews any sort of martial aggression, instead choosing to focus upon the beauty and innocence of youth. Meanwhile, his statue of St. George is another that captures facial expression and emotion in a truly unique style.
His eyebrows are knit together, there are wrinkles in his forehead, and there's a real sense of anxiety and uncertainty about what's to come. And so you feel this figure marshaling his courage.
Number 5. Raphael. He was born Raffaello Sanzio da Urbino in an area known as Urbino, now considered part of Vatican City. This artist is probably best known by another name, however, Raphael.
From sculpture and prints to tapestries and mosaic, he's one of the giants of the Italian Renaissance.
This painter and architect tragically didn't live to see his 40th year, but the work that he conceived in his time went on to live forever. This includes pieces such as his fresco, The School of Athens, or his commissioned pieces within Vatican City.
Raphael carefully planned his composition for the stanza drawings. These drawings illustrate his inventiveness, but also the hard work that went into arranging these grand compositions.
Raphael was lauded in his time and today for his ability to capture natural and recognizable expressions within his human figures. As a result, his religious work possesses a power and glory the likes of which have rarely been equaled.
Following his death, Raphael passed immediately into myth. Painter, architect, visionary, and genius.
Number 4. Hieronymus Bosch, or Hieronymus Bosch. So much focus is rightfully placed upon the beauty and grace present within some of the greatest Renaissance works. But what about the grotesque, or the unsettling? This is where Hieronymus Bosch comes in.
He grew up in a time of deep religious anxiety. In late medieval Christianity, ideas about sin, death, and the devil were becoming more sophisticated, and descriptions of hell, like in Dante's Inferno, were becoming more vivid.
The Dutch painter's penchant for creating disturbing imagery has gone on to influence not only other artists, but your favorite movies and album covers to boot. The work of Bosch is often defined by his nightmarish creatures and the exaggerated facial expressions of his human characters.
As he leans into his proclivity for complex symbolism, his paintings become increasingly inventive sermons on human weakness and subsequent punishment.
It's easy to become entranced and obsessed by them as a result, including his iconic triptych, The Garden of Earthly Delights. Even today, it's the visions of hell first conceptualized by Hieronymus Bosch that largely live on today within our collective subconscious.
It was clear that he had a dark and vivid imagination, and that matters of religion and morality clearly occupied his mind.
Number 3. Michelangelo. Is there any sculpture from the Renaissance period more recognized today than Michelangelo's statue of David? It's one of those works that's endured beyond this Caprese-born artist's lifetime and into perpetuity as an all-time masterpiece.
The Renaissance period produced a lot of famous sculptures. But today, when people refer to old master sculptures, most of us picture him, the most iconic sculpture of the Renaissance period.
David, for many, stands as an idealized image of youth, vigor, and vitality, and yet the work of Michelangelo is still so much more than just this one piece.
Michelangelo had never painted a fresco in his life. And suddenly he paints the greatest fresco of all time. At age 40, never having studied architecture, he builds the Medici Chapel and the Laurentian Library.
It's a vibrant cornucopia of paintings, sculptures, frescoes, and more, all delivered with an artist's amazing eye for the human form. His work on the Sistine Chapel is iconic, his legacy certified, and his influence boundless for all of those who continue to work in his wake.
It's a celebration of being human, of the human body, also of creation itself, which he creates there on the ceiling.
Number 2. Caravaggio. The work of Michelangelo Merisi da Caravaggio arrived late within the Renaissance period, but the immense quality of his work simply speaks for itself.
It stirs deep emotion in its immediacy. It puts passion into the passion of Jesus.
Caravaggio was a master of a heightened form of chiaroscuro, defined by intense contrasts between light and dark, that came to be known as tenebrism. The maestro's work, as a result, emphasized the grotesque nature of his violent pieces, while underlining the beauty of his more subtle works.
He holds a lantern, signifying the power of the artist to illuminate the stories that mean the most to us, to make them personal, realer than real.
Caravaggio's work went on to influence the Baroque period of art and the aftermath of Renaissance, and prime examples of this include his Medusa, as well as Judith beheading Holofernes.
He broke with convention and created with a rare intuitiveness that still prompts shock and awe today.
Before we unveil our top pick, here are a few honorable mentions. Filippo Brunelleschi, an architectural pioneer.
Brunelleschi left behind no sketches and no details as to exactly how he achieved his masterpiece. Today, it remains the largest masonry dome in the world, more than 500 years after it was built.
Hans Holbein the Younger, a master portraitist.
The German-born court painter to Britain's legendary King Henry VIII immortalized one of the most dramatic casts of characters in Western history.
Sofonisba Anguissola, a pioneer for women in the arts,
and began painting portraits of people around Lombardy, including at the court in Milan. And while there, one of her major patrons is a Spaniard who sees to it that Sofonisba is invited to the Spanish court.
Fra Angelico, a holy man painting holy subjects.
Faces, although they're generalized, are very specific in certain ways as well, especially around the eyes, which are actually the most detailed part of the entire painting.
You really feel, even though they're separated by this column, that their gazes meet.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Leonardo da Vinci.
His genius is universal. It speaks to everybody.
It speaks volumes that the influence and work of Leonardo da Vinci still manages to stand out within a crowd of so much enviable talent. Simply stated, the man could do it all. So do it all he did. From sculpting and painting to architecture, lecturing, and writing.
The key to Leonardo da Vinci is that he doesn't make a distinction between the beauty of nature that he studies in his science and the beauty of his art.
Leonardo da Vinci remains an artist's artist, a man who's not only known for masterpieces such as the Mona Lisa, but also for his genius intellect and dogged pursuit of knowledge. It doesn't seem unfair to label da Vinci as a man out of time, since so many of his hypotheses and ideas were untenable, due to technological advancements not yet catching up to the man's boundless wellspring of ideas.
He could have spent more time just being a painter. But had he done that, he wouldn't have been Leonardo da Vinci.
Who's your favorite Renaissance artist? Have you ever seen any of these famous works in person? Let us know in the comments. Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from MsMojo. And be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.